It's time for the main event. It's the Shoeshine.
¿Qué ondas, vatos locos? It's your boy Dave from the 408 coming to you all the way from my podcast studio in San Jose, Califas. And your boy got his voice back. I want to thank everybody who wished me and my lovely wife well wishes. We did finally just get over COVID and I'm ready to go back to work. Although my voice may not be 100%, I do appreciate you guys for tuning in, joining me all the way from the city of brotherly love, the National League champions. Philly Drew Evo is in the house. What up, Drew?
Phillies in 6.
Phillies in 6 is the prediction. Drew, I was just talking to you earlier saying how exciting it was to see the Phillies in the World Series. I know it's been some time, but listen, I see some people here in the chat already. Saludos to the people in the chat, but you know I don't want to see the Dodgers in it again. And you know what? I think most Dodgers can agree with me, man. But let's beat those Astros, man. I've never seen such a cheating scandal in the history of baseball like the Astros did the sport of boxing and the Dodgers dirty. So go Phillies. Drew, on the football tip, how them Eagles?
6-0.
Oh, God. I can't believe Drew's teams are on top of the sports world right now. Damn, how did the 49ers get McAfee and 3-4 is not where I want the Niner Nation to be, but that's why we're Niner faithful. Drew, I don't know, man. I mean, the NFC is kind of weak. It's kind of weak compared to the AFC, and it played out just like that Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. So, yeah, it is what it is, man. We'll see if we see the... Hey, it might be the Niners and the Eagles in the playoffs, man. We might see you guys eventually. We'll see about that. But saludos to everyone joining in the room. I appreciate everybody. JC, Nando Lamas, what up? Walk with Rhonda, my homegirl, Sontea Media. Jose, El Compita says, hit that pinche like. That's right. By the way, if you guys want to tap in, the phone line is open at 702-710-3627. Mom, Food Planning Things, I see you too. Thank you guys for joining us, man. Because, you know, not everybody loves boxing. JC, I see you too, homeboy. Not everybody loves boxing the way Drew and I do. And I know some of you are here because you're down with me. So I appreciate you all. But Drew, there was some decent boxing this weekend. I guess just something to whet the appetite. But what's really going on in the sport of boxing, and sometimes it pains me to say this, that the UFC is doing things better. This weekend is all I heard about was all my UFC MMA friends. Are you watching UFC? This, that. And I was like, you know, you try to act interested, but really I'm scrounging to watch some decent boxing. But hey, DAZN, which we pay for, and Golden Boy put on a decent Thursday night scrap to highlight this kid, Floyd Schofield, a lightweight. And I want to know what you guys, if you guys haven't seen this kid, Drew, he's been putting in work with Gervonta Tank Davis amongst other lightweights, and they're vouching for this kid as being a future star. Have you got a chance to check out Floyd Schofield, this young lightweight prospect?
Yeah, I checked him out.
What'd you think about that stoppage? He did what he had to do. He's now, I believe, he's 12-0, almost all stoppages. He looks like a beast in the making. You think this kid is going to be something for us to keep our eye on?
Right now it's something to keep your eye on. You know, did what he had to do. We got to see how he is in a couple fights. You know, we gotta keep an eye on him, but next couple of fights will tell you where's he gonna be at.
Right. But, I was appreciative on Thursday night that there was something to watch. I think this is a good fit for Golden Boy as they try to showcase their younger fighters in their roster. And this kid, I'm glad Oscar picked him up. And I want to give you guys some news. Most of the time, Drew and I are bashing on Oscar de la Hoya. Recently, I brought you the news that he's building this custom $14 million mansion in Henderson, which... while I was in Vegas just 9 days ago, I was with a real estate agent who was showing me all of Henderson. It showed me where Oscar will be building his dream house. But Drew, if you didn't know, he donated $1 million to women's cancer research. His mother, cancer, I'm sorry, I believe she lost her battle with cancer. And so he donated $1 million to this hospital in Southern California that fights women's cancer. And so on that, I've got to give him kudos, man. So kudos to Oscar de la Hoya for donating $1 million well-deserved dollars to cancer research. Your thoughts on Oscar being generous with that $1 million? Can you hear me, Drew?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Oh, yeah. If I just thought if you had an opinion on Oscar letting go of $1 million, because most of the time we're just ragging on him as being, this and that, a lousy promoter and blah, blah, blah. But, I thought it was a very nice gesture of him to do that.
Yeah, it was.
All right, guys. Halloween is upon us. Usually, I'm drinking beer or some I wanted to start the month of October drinking different brews that are fall and autumn related, but now I'm drinking tea and honey in my Dias de los Muertos mug. So JC says, once upon a time, apparently he donated lots of fishnets. There had to be a fishnet joke in there while we get the show going. Like I said, guys, it's been kind of slow in the sport of boxing. So Thursday night, Oscar de la Hoya's on the DAZN card. And then, Drew, there was some Showbox that I missed. I'm sorry, guys, if you guys watched it. I missed Showbox on Showtime, which I usually love to watch the prospects because you never know who's going to come out of that. Devin Haney came out of Showbox. I missed that. And then Saturday night, of course. Saturday night, I'd like to know your thoughts because we're talking about Philadelphia sports, but there was a kid who was the co-main event on DAZN versus a Angel Fierro, a Mexican prospect that I've been enjoying watching. Jeremy Cuevas came in, making his big debut as a co-main. This guy, Jeremy Cuevas, supposed to be a really gifted pianist. And what did you think about that kid? I text you, I'm like, damn, there's this kid from Philadelphia, man. I don't think he's ready for the spotlight, but he gave it his best, man. And he's definitely got a good skill set. Did you hear who he trains with in Philly?
No, I was actually too busy watching the Phillies come back from a 4-0 deficit to score 10 runs.
So you were deeply invested. No, I want to give that kid out, Jeremy Cuevas from Philadelphia, because a shout out because he came in maybe too inexperienced for the likes of Angel Fierro, and he made a good account of himself, man. Someone who does have ring IQ, can box, but ultimately this Angel Fierro, he's got a lot of punching power, and that's what we're going to see this weekend from this William Zepeda matchup, which I'm very excited to see the William Zepeda versus Jojo Diaz lightweight bout this Saturday on DAZN, Drew. We're going to see a heavy power puncher in Zepeda against Jojo Diaz, someone who's been an Olympian, who can box. We're going to preview that fight later. So tell me, see, JC, did Fierro win? Yeah, he definitely won, and he won by an impressive stoppage in the 7th round. The kid, Jeremy Cuevas, was pretty much knocked out on his feet. They had to stop the fight. The kid got a lot of heart. So shout out to that guy from Philadelphia. What else happened this weekend, Drew? There was even a Thompson Boxing. I love to go in Thompson Boxing. We always get a shout out, and I got a shout out from one of their main broadcasters, Beto Duran. You guys may know Beto Duran, a fantastic commentator. He gave me a shout out on Twitter when he saw that I had COVID. So shout out to him. But he did the Thursday night coverage of Oscar de la Hoya, and he did not do the Friday Thompson Boxing card. The Thompson Boxing card thing was a freaking mess, Drew. The main event was like essentially a guy who was the opening got moved to the main event because of injuries. So it was kind of a disaster all the way around. Saturday, just a disaster. Thank you for joining the room. Sarah H., I see you. I hope you're feeling well too. Jose El Compita says, I need boxing every weekend. Straight up, that is a true pugilist, a fan of the sweet science, somebody that needs their fix every weekend, not just that UFC MMA stuff. And Drew, this weekend there's going to be 3 fights, but I titled the show, Why Are Boxing Fans Getting Shafted, Drew? Because there's some big news, man. First of all, you and I, before I got sick and before I went to Vegas, we were anxiously awaiting to see if Tyson Fury, the heavyweight Gypsy King, could make a fight with his rival Anthony Joshua. Why did that fall apart, Drew? And all of a sudden now, we're getting Fury versus Chisora 3, a trilogy maybe nobody wants to see. As much as I love Fury Chisora, I mean, as much as I love Chisora to watch him fight, Drew, why are we getting that fight?
I don't know. Like, I understand stay busy fight and everything, but come on, you gotta fight somebody else. Like, I know at least it's not Manuel or Char, but come on now. I think, like, I really think that, you know, he should have just went with the Joshua fight, but I wanted to know why, like, I want to know the reason why Joshua didn't really pay, like, agree to the fight, or he didn't agree in time to the fight and everything. You're not going to be the A side. He should know that already. It was a 60-40 split, which I think was a fair split and everything. Like, tell you the truth, even Tyson Fury bet Frank Warner, hey, this fight, he ain't going to fight me, so I bet you 10,000 pounds. And he won 10,000 pounds for Frank Warner. And Tyson Fury today at a press conference actually donated it to a charity, the 10,000 pounds he won off Frank Warner. So, I don't know. I was hoping to see Fury versus Joshua, man, but, like, I really, Fury's playing too many games and everything. And we're going to head for a tune-up with Chisora and everything. And we're also, now it's being reported that Undisputed is being looked at for March in Saudi Arabia next year.
Right. That is exciting news. Guys, I want to apologize. I just, my notes are all over the place. I'm not on top of my game. Some of you who've had COVID before, this brain fog shit is for real, man. Like, although I've gotten physically better, I really feel like my brain is not at full capacity to escape the fact that Bronco Lara was the main event Saturday night at the Zone. I'll get to Bronco Lara because I'm deeply invested in the featherweight division, Drew. I'm very excited about that. I actually wanted to lead with that segment. But here we are talking about Fury Chisora 3, basically another tune-up for Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, but one that is very sellable, Drew. One that is already, I hear it's going to be doing fantastic numbers in ticket sales because Chisora is very exciting. We know what the outcome is going to be, right? Yeah. We know what the outcome is going to be, but Chisora always makes it fun, which is why I think Fury went with the Anthony Joshua. You know, Fury's a difficult person to negotiate with. Maybe he just wasn't feeling fighting Anthony Joshua and giving him the money. Anthony Joshua coming off those losses, Drew, like you just mentioned, Usyk. And now we might be getting Usyk come next year in Saudi Arabia. A fight of epic proportions in 2023. We're not going to get the big fights this year. It's done. 2022 is almost done. We're not getting Spence. The other big news, we're not going to get Spence Crawford. We'll touch on that real quick, Drew. But I'm very excited about the prospect that next year, we're going to find out who the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world might be, man. That is really exciting. Drew, I think you were watching baseball, but I want to get guys in here who did get a chance to watch Bronco Lara from in the Plaza de Toros. If my mom is watching, she's going to make sure I pronounce all my R's correct. In the Plaza de Toros in Mexico City, El Bronco Lara came at him like a matador. And Drew, the guy... Bronco Lara at featherweight, he's good friends with that other guy that I always have a difficult time pronouncing correctly. El Vaquero Navarrete, the champion at 126 WBO, who now has alluded at Top Rank. He's going to leave the division. He just can't make weight anymore. He's my favorite featherweight, Drew. But Bronco Lara has not gotten his title from Josh Warrington. And this fight was a late-minute replacement, dude. This guy came in from Colombia with a baby on the way. This guy who we beat up had his baby, I guess, during fight week. and he just saw his baby coming home. So shout out to the guy who came in as a last minute replacement. What was his name, man? San Martin, a guy from Colombia, came in as a last minute replacement, basically a showcase fight. Eddie Hearn in Mexico City. I don't know, Drew, man. Eddie Hearn seems to have a lot of love in Mexico.
I don't know about that, but like to Santino and JC saying they're outnumbered by women in chat. Don't get emotional on me, guys. Calm down. So, I'm halfway for the show. Calm down. Don't get emotional on me.
Nando Lama says, El Apocalypto, Warrior Lara, El Bronco Lara. I think the fights that he had with Warrington, man, he should be a world champion as well. And then you had Lee Wood, who just knocked out Mick Conlan in one of the best fights of the year, in my opinion. He's the guy who bowed out and said, I've got an injury. So I feel like he's been shafted twice. I really think that Lara should be one of the champions at the featherweight division. He's getting totally shafted again and again. He's an unstoppable beast. And with the fact that Navarrete is going to be vacating pretty soon the WBO title, I really think we're going to be seeing. I want to ask you guys that really know this division, man, but is Bronco Lara ready to take over as the 126-pound king next year in 2023? I think this could potentially have been his breakout year, and now it looks like it's going to be 2023. But Nando Lama says, give me Navarrete versus Lara someday, but they're homeboys. They're really, really good friends. Navarrete was there supporting him. I don't think those guys will ever fight. But, man, Lara, hey, he can get through Lee Wood. He can get through Josh Warrington. Today he came out and says, I want to retire that mother effer. I want to retire Josh Warrington. I think those two European UK belts are up for grabs, man. The IBF and the WBA. And then if that guy from Michoacan, what's this guy? I mean, I almost forgot his name. Do you remember that guy from Michoacan? He holds the belt and he hasn't defended it in 4 or 5 years. Shoot, he had all those great fights. Now I can't even remember his name because he's so insignificant. Goes like this.
I know Leo
goes
Santa
like this.
Cruz didn't defend his belt for 3 years.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Leo Santa Cruz. Yeah, I don't know. He says he's coming back down to 126 to defend that belt. This division is going to be something else in 2023. And I think that Bronco Lara is going to somehow work his way up to be world champion and unified titles in 23. And that's just my 2 cents. Unfortunately, Drew, for Warrington, he's got a tough test, man. I just remembered that December the 3rd, I've talked about that guy, Luis Alberto Lopez, many times because he defeated our boy Gabe Flores from Stockton. He defeated Andy Vences of San Jose, El Tiburon. But that guy Lopez has come from nowhere, being a Tijuana, Southern Baja California fighter. He's fighting for the world title, Drew, and I think he beats Warrington. That's going to make Lopez the champion at 126 before Lara. And I think that's a hell of a fight. But come on, guys, we know how that ends, man. Lara stops Luis Alberto Lopez. Luis Alberto Lopez has a loss to our boy from Salinas. So all those are the good fights I'm looking forward to the rest of this year. Rhonda Walker says, I was just in Stockton a couple weeks ago. Packable, saludos, Shoeshine. He says, peace, man. I appreciate you guys. Drew, I'm going to have a sip of my tea because my voice is already starting to go out. But let me get you started on this hot topic, Drew, because not over completely. Crawford has stayed busy on his own, Drew. Crawford on his own pay-per-view. What kind of bullshit is this, man? Avanesian, you guys, this is a pay-per-view in his hometown, Nebraska. Drew, what are your thoughts on this, man? Going on his own, $39.99, $39 for a pay-per-view.
Well, the pay-per-view platform that they were supposed to be having it on isn't really popular on YouTube with only 700 and some subscribers on it. And the Twitter page doesn't have that many followers on it either. If you look at it, like, I'll be honest with you, we're not going to get undisputed at welterweight. Let's get that out the question because Al Heyman don't want to do it. Al Heyman will figure out a way not to have a big fight. Al Heyman will figure out how not to have a big fight. And then they'll try to say the other guy did not want to take the offer that was presented to them. But the thing about it is, when was the last time Al Heyman actually had a big fight on the PBC?
I mean,
if
you want me to answer that, it seems he has a pay-per-view every 6 weeks, man. And some of them, Deontay Wilder just fought, and I hear the numbers are so bad, like they just don't release the actual numbers, right?
Yeah, and like the thing about it is, I had to talk with one of my boys about this. He's a big Wilder fan. He really is, and he was telling me 77,000 pay-per-view buys is good for Deontay Wilder's return, and I'm like this. Really? And then he brings up the Tyson Fury bullshit again and everything. And then they said that, there's no way his glove was able to bet a brand new glove. And I'm like, this dude, it was proven already. If you go online and you see pictures of it, Errol Spence glove bet like that too in a picture while he was fighting. So I think you fans gotta let it go and everything. He lost. He got his ass kicked and everything. He got scored. Accept it. And then I was saying, 77,000 pay-per-view buys isn't really that good of a number and everything. Like, if he would have done maybe 150, maybe 200,000, it probably would have been good. But the PBC pay-per-view numbers have flopped for a long time. Like, putting out fight after fight that does not belong on pay-per-view is ridiculous. And now it's the main reason that PBC is going broke. And they don't want to tell you that the PBC is going broke, but they are. Because instead of trying to work with other promoters, with other networks, and made a shitload of money, you want to be like childish and want to get all the rights to the pay-per-view rights and everything. Want to get the rights to the big fights and everything, and realize you're not getting those rights to those pay-per-view rights, not solely. And now you got big fights that potentially could have been made, and they're not going to be made now. Like Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford.
Yeah, there's been a lot of fighters screaming from the top of the rafters that Al Heyman owes me money. And one of the most popular was this Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner's been claiming for months that Al owes him money and that he needs his money because, obviously, aside from having like over 10 children, AB says he's broke, man. And that leaves a lot of people on that roster. Should any of these rumors be true, Drew, I don't know where all these quality fighters are going to go.
Well, look at it like this. Showtime and Fox are about to dump the PBC. That's their two biggest supporters to have fights on. And tell you the truth, if they lose Fox, they lose Showtime. I don't think there's no other network they can have their fights on. I think the PBC is dead without those two networks, because what are you going to do? Are you going to go to DAZN and have your fighters fight on that? You're going to have to wind up making bigger fights with the guys in other promotions if you go to the zone. And that's the big thing. I ain't trying to make these big fights. He's trying to give you lackluster cards, mediocre cards at best, put his fighters out there to make them look good and everything. And when you have an opportunity to match two of your best fighters on your stable up in each division, you make this you give your best fighter in that division a fucking tune-up against a fucking nobody, when you could have made a David Morrell versus David Benavidez.
Right, those are great fights, in-house fights to make. Or
you could have met and say, "Hey, we're gonna make Caleb Plant versus Benavidez." That's not gonna happen.
It's not. I'm so curious, Drew. This weekend, a lot of casual boxing fans are going to be interested in the return of Jake Paul, whose last fight didn't materialize. It was a big scandal. Now he's fighting a household name in MMA in Anderson Silva. But even then, Showtime and Steven Espinoza won't give us the pay-per-view numbers. I have no idea what kind of numbers Jake Paul does. But it seems to be these days that he's favoring Jake Paul's MVP Promotions over dealing with PBC. The other big news this week, Drew, is that we're not, aside from the fact that we're not getting Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence in 2022, it was supposed to be November for Thanksgiving weekend in Las Vegas. I was all excited. I typically go that week. It ain't going to happen. So they're trying to sell us this new bag of goods. And that's the fact that they're saying that the Golden Boys' favorite matinee idol and Ryan Garcia and TMT's Gervonta Tank Davis, the two youngest superstars of the lightweight division, are cooking up a fight. This was reported by Chris Mannix in Sports Illustrated today for January in Las Vegas. Drew, most people all year and last year said, no way these two guys ever fight. And now they're saying they're closer than ever. But somebody tell me why Gervonta Tank Davis this week told several outlets, Floyd Mayweather does not represent me. Meanwhile, Chris Mannix and Sports Illustrated say the only caveat and the only thing blocking this fight, which is now in general agreement to happen, is where the fight's going to be carried. Because Al Heyman, as the advisor to Gervonta, and Floyd, TMT, want it to be exclusively Showtime pay-per-view. So which one is it? Does Gervonta Davis, is he represented by Floyd or is he not? Because he's saying, I could go anywhere. I can go to Top Rank. I can sign a deal with Matchroom on DAZN. So it was a load of shit coming from all media angles. By the way, shout out to D-Style, my man. Thank you for coming in the room. And Bella Bling, of course. Drew, what's going on, man? Are we being sold a bunch of lies here? Gervonta says they don't represent him.
I look at it like this. This fight probably is going to go on DAZN if it happens because Floyd is on DAZN fighting an exhibition on DAZN pay-per-view. Like, to him saying Floyd ain't representing him is a load of bullshit. But I'll tell you this right now, I don't think this fight happens. It does get made probably officially, but one of them is gonna drop out. And that's my prediction. Is one of them is going to drop out of the fight. Is going to pull out. This fight's not destined to happen. And like I saw a tweet from Ryan Garcia said that nobody, like, the best don't fight the best or something like that. But I'm like this, dude. The only thing you do is call out Tank and not even offer to fight the best and everything. And like thinking Tank's the best. Tank's not even close to fucking being the best. So if you want to fight the best, go fight somebody that's really has a big name that you can make your name off of. Like you being Tank, yeah, it is gonna be probably the biggest name on your list and everything. And so, end of the day, is like, who are you gonna fight if you can't get Tank? Oh, somebody's knocking on my door.
Well, but they don't seem to be interested in fighting for world titles at 135. Last week we talked about, of course, Lomachenko getting his title shot against the winner of what we just saw Devin Haney defend his world title at 135, the true undisputed champion. Neither of these people in Gervonta Tank Davis or Ryan Garcia have ever really expressed a genuine interest in fighting Devin Haney, who holds all the titles. These guys are more concerned about the actual prize, the actual pay-per-view revenue, the actual payday, if they can get it. That's what they're interested in. These two guys know Las Vegas is the perfect city for these two young fighters, two superstars, to have their fight. One, Ryan Garcia is a star in Los Angeles, has record-breaking gates, and Gervonta Tank Davis, whether it's New York, he sold 18,000 in Brooklyn, or over 18,000 in the city of Atlanta, as well as Los Angeles, guaranteed this fight is going to sell out if it happens. But Drew brings up a fantastic point, and that's that nobody knows if these two guys, if they're whoever is trying to sign this fight, they're promoters. I'm talking about DAZN, Matchroom, and everybody involved. Oscar De La Hoya is his promoter. If they're going to get together and actually finalize this deal, for now, they're teasing the general public way too much, man. By the way, shout out to Sin City Syndicate. He says Ryan Garcia is only fighting gambling demons these days. He runs with the homie Mickey Mace. Look up Mickey on YouTube and find out what his circle is all about. I know that you know a lot about that stuff, man, about what Ryan Garcia really does in Las Vegas. And now his promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, will be living in Las Vegas most of the time, full time, once that mansion is done. Drew, Glad to have you back, Drew.
Any women call the show yet?
Now, you know what? Let me remind everybody, if you want to tap in, 702-710-3627 on any of the subjects. No ladies have called, but Chicano Prophet says, I love when Drew walks off the show. Laughing my ass off. The phone line is lit unless it's not working. Yeah, you guys could tap in, run up on this, and let's talk, man. Boxing, whatever you guys want to talk about. Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta. Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Bud Crawford fighting David Avanesian because Spence... who's the fault there, Drew? Who is at fault? Both of these people have the same villains, and that involves PBC and Al Heyman, right?
Yeah. Like, I look at it like this. When you have, I wouldn't even call this the biggest fight in boxing, because Ryan Garcia and Tank isn't the biggest fight in boxing and everything. Because really, they both haven't really fought. The best win on Tank's record, Leo Santa Cruz, probably.
A featherweight. A blown-up featherweight.
And Ryan Garcia's best win is...
Luke Campbell.
Javier Fortuna or Luke Campbell?
No, it's Luke Campbell.
Yes, Luke Campbell, probably. Yeah, you can say that. But, I think really, for some, Nando, it won't be better than any win Loma has because Tank hasn't fought shit. All right, so let's not put out there. Let's not be fanboying now.
We're gonna get to the man of the hour, Lomachenko, later because we're almost ready for our predictions pretty soon. I think my voice is starting to let me know it's almost time to move on.
Answer this question real quick. Nando, his best wins are Ligo and Gary Russell and Nicholas Waters. Okay, all three of them probably beat Pedraza, by the way. So let's look at it like that. Nando can't tell a good ass win if it's slapping Ryan across the face and backhand him again.
What was that?
But,
we got the 5 and dime on the Shoeshine here. You're on the phone with the Shoeshine 510.
Hey, what's up, Drew? What's up, Dave? How you doing? Hey, Drew, who you gonna slap?
I say you couldn't tell a good win if it slap you on the face and then backhand you again.
Oh, I thought you were getting violent and stuff. No, that's all good.
But look at it like this. I don't see this fight happening. I think one of them's going to pull out.
And who's that?
Close to the fight date.
Who's the pullout king here?
Ryan Garcia.
I think it's gonna be.
And what do you think is going to be the reason, Nando?
I think if it was up to Ryan by himself, I think he would pull out, man. I think he would back up off this fight, right? But I think he has De La Hoya behind him, right? De La Hoya's been putting a lot of money in his pockets. DAZN's been putting a lot of money in his pockets, and it's time for him to step up. Who else is he going to step up against? I know they're getting to the point where they want to put him on pay-per-view. Who else could they put Ryan against on pay-per-view at 140? Because really, he pretty much can't make 135 anymore, man. He looked good at 140. He looked filled out at 140. I don't think 135 is good for his health. Who is out there besides Tank that he can make a pay-per-view fight with?
I don't know. Some people could say Teofimo Lopez is worthy, possibly.
Yeah.
But you know what?
That one.
You want to be a good dark horse fight, and I think maybe if Bob and Oscar can work together, which I doubt because of DAZN, he calls it the dead zone and anything. Maybe Josh Taylor versus Ryan Garcia.
You know what?
That's another good fight.
Let's be honest. In just a few weeks, we're going to get a pay-per-view by Marv Nation putting on Regis Prograis and Jose Zepeda, right? Not Jose Zepeda, excuse me. Drew, help me out here. I
think you're right.
Yeah, Jose Zepeda and Regis
Prograis.
Yeah, and they're the small-time promoter, Marv Nation out of Southern California. Barely anybody knows who they are, and that's going to be a pay-per-view. Any of those guys would be worthy opponents for Ryan Garcia at 140. But the question is, will it generate the revenue that a superstar like Gervonta Tank Davis? I don't think they're interested in those titles. I don't think they've ever been interested in those titles. Because if they were, they'd be lining up to fight Devin Haney at all costs and calling him out all the time.
Here's a question. What did they get the what's the winning bet for that Prograis versus Zepeda fight?
Not sure.
Like $3-4 million.
Oh,
So-
the bid. Right.
$3 million to $4 million.
So for them to make profit, they'll have to do possibly maybe at least 150K in order to make a little bit of profit on it.
That's not
because
happening.
That's not happening. That's not. You'll be lucky if that fight does 30,000 pay-per-view fights. Depending on the price of the fight, they'll be lucky to do 30,000.
Those guys are fantastic boxers, man. But they're up against a lot.
Here's
man.
another issue, though.
Yeah.
Here's another issue. They're gonna run into the same problem that Bud's gonna run into, man. Like, there's only so many people that buy pay-per-view, right?
Right.
And on top of that, you're asking these people to go to a website that nobody's ever heard of and give them your credit card. You know, like I have a lot of people in my family and my circle of friends that buy pay-per-views, but for them to like go through the effort, one, to even want, you know, because Zepeda and Prograis, that's a great fight. I mean, you know, that's a great fight for the hardcores. But like for them to have my cousins or my friends have a pay-per-view party, they're gonna pass. They're not gonna go through the hassle trying to find it or buy it. You know, either fight. I think, I'll be honest, I think Bud's pay-per-view or either one, I don't think either one gets past 20,000 buys. I'll be shocked, no matter what the price of that, because it's a subset of a subset. They're asking to buy these pay-per-views, and like honestly, I'm not that excited about I'm a hardcore fan that buys almost every pay-per-view, and I'm not. It's gonna be really hard for me to get tempted to buy that Bud versus Alban baby. You know, because if you look at that website, you got to put your credit card in there. That's crazy.
Yeah, you know, now that's a fight that Bob Arum would have typically have put on ESPN for free. Yeah, and that was his problem he had with Bud, is that he insisted that he just wasn't generating the revenue to cover the costs, which is why he didn't really fight Bud when it came time for him to renegotiate his contract. He's like, I just don't make money off him. As brilliant as he is as a boxer, he's just not generating the revenue, which is something without all the accolades Ryan Garcia seems to do, is generate money. You know, I mean, whether it's the millions of people that follow him on Instagram and YouTube or whatever it is, those guys make money. By the way, we were corrected. HLD says it was $2 million purse bid. And Nando, I agree with you 100%, man. It is getting harder. There's way too much pay-per-view fatigue, and just the casual fan don't even know where to get these fights.
Like,
I mean, the last pay-per-view for Bud did 70,000 pay-per-view buys on ESPN with all that advertising and a good fight with Porter. I mean, do you really think this is going to get 10 to 20,000 against somebody nobody ever heard of, that nobody ever heard of either? I mean, it's all bad for Bud right now, man, to be honest, I think, or at least for the people that are putting on the fight.
Yeah, going back to the Zepeda fight, Zepeda versus Regis Prograis, if you guys haven't gotten wind of this one, the sons of famous Las Vegas Vargas, the sons, you know, he has 3 sons. 2 of his sons will be on the Regis Prograis undercard. The middle kid and the oldest kid, Fernando Jr., and his baby, the youngest one, Emiliano Vargas, who I've taken pictures with when he was just a little 11, 12, and 13-year-old. He just got signed to Top Rank. So congratulations to Emiliano Vargas, who is the only brother to get picked up by a major promotional company. He'll be making his debut on Top Rank really soon. But all 3 of them, hey, professional fighters. Of course, I'm talking about Vargas from Las Vegas. So congratulations to them. But let's move on, guys, to this weekend's fights, because, you know, nobody gets more fired up than talking about Lomachenko than Philly Irish Drew Evo. Nando, stay on the phone with us, man, because we're going to have to wrap this one up pretty soon. Lomachenko versus, help me out, what's this kid's name, man? Because he should not be fighting him, but he beat Jermaine Ortiz from the East Coast, from Massachusetts. A nice Puerto Rican kid will be fighting one of the greatest in boxing history, and Lomachenko. Drew, Lomachenko over 400 amateur fights. Jermaine Ortiz, just kind of one of these extremely good, talented club fighters who gets thrusted into Top Ranks professional and has won every single fight, upsetting Jamel Herring, the former 130-pound champion. Jamel Herring retiring after that defeat. Now he's thrust into fighting the biggest name at lightweight other than Devin Haney, other than Gervonta Tank Davis. What is going to happen this weekend to Jermaine Ortiz?
tell you the truth, a good fight with Styles and everything, like Loma's gonna win the fight, but the kid's gonna launch something from it.
Okay.
He's gonna launch something from this fight regardless, because he has skills, this kid, but he's going in there with someone that's right now better than him, but it's something he's going to learn from. He's something he's going to take in. He's probably going to make him a better fighter. He got a big win against Jamel Herring when no one thought he would do it. He's undefeated. He's young, but
well, Chicano Prophet says Loma ain't going to learn nothing. Stop capping, Drew. But I think what he's saying, you're saying Jermaine Ortiz is going to come away learning something.
Yeah. So Chicano, blow that your ass. But you know, but no, it's something he's going to learn from this fight, because it's going to make him better. You know, getting ready for next time he gets a big fight, because it's going to be a good fight. I think he's going to surprise people. It's not going to be an easy fight as people predict it's going to be. I think he's going to give Loma a little bit of work, because he can box. But but I think it goes to a decision. I think Loma wins a decision off.
Really? Because Loma was able to knock out his last opponent. Or stop him, right?
Who did he fight last? I'm trying to think who he fought. Was it Comey? No, I think he beat the balls on Comey, but he went to decision with
Comey. It was Comey.
Yeah, he should have knocked out Comey, but he dominated Comey and everything. But I think Ortiz is going to surprise people a little bit, and the early going. But I think Loma figures him out, wins a decision off him, and this guy would be put on the map and everything, be given more opportunities, and he'll learn from it. He'll probably win some fights down the road.
What about Nando? Nando's on the phone. Nando, is Jermaine Ortiz, who has a win over a former champion like Jamel Herring, a faded champion, but he's got a win over a world champion. Is he in here just as a tune-up job? Basically to keep the fight between Devin Haney and Lomachenko front and center, which is Top Rank's ultimate wish, man. Is he just a tune-up?
I mean, you never know. You know, like Jermaine, like you said, he's gonna come out with a solid win. He's a young guy. Still might be improving. And I know, I always sound like a Loma hitter, but I'm not. I'm glad to see he's back in the sport. You know, Loma's always been a credit to the sport, and I'm just glad he's back. And I think there's a good indication that we're gonna get Loma versus Haney next. You know, I think that's the plans for Top Rank, right? Give Loma some guy will give him some tough rounds. But eventually, Loma should take him out maybe by the 8th round or so, and that's exactly what they want. You know, that's perfect, man. We get Loma back in the mix, and we get a big fight next spring, man. So I'm actually excited to have Loma back, man. He's good for the sport, man. The guy never turns down any fights, and I'm excited to have Loma back, man. I'm excited to watch the fights. You know,
but I'm glad I'm glad one of our callers is excited. Sin City Syndicate says Loma better strap up and go back to the Ukraine and fight for his people. The ring don't need him.
Well, let me ask you guys something. Is there any chance we see Haney just saying, "Fuck this, I'm moving to 140"?
I think it's a solid because, you know, hey, as much as Paulie Malignaggi is controversial, I think he's on the money onto something. Paulie's been making a lot of news with his new channel on YouTube, former analyst. He doesn't think that Haney's on his way, and he says he's got all the receipts, man, and he's been making the case that Devin Haney's going to pull out of this fight with Lomachenko.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because, you know, Top Rank still has one more fight with him regardless, whoever it is, and you know Top Rank wants to hold on to all of those belts at 135, man, regardless, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I'd be shocked, man, because if he pulls out, all those belts go up in the air, and whoever wants to grab them, whether it be Tank Davis or Shakur or anybody else, can have at it, and it kind of turns into a big mess for Top Rank. Honestly, I think we'll begin Haney versus Loma, just because Haney didn't really have to fight this last fight, right? He didn't really have to make weight. You know, he still would have got the payday. And he came in, he looked pretty bad, but he still made the weight. And I think he made the weight with the idea that I'm going to get Loma next. I think, you know, Haney, to his credit, he's been chasing glory, man, for the last couple of years, right? Like, you know, he went for Kambosos, got the undisputed, and I think he would love nothing more than to beat Loma. You know, I think that'd be huge. I think that puts him in the Hall of Fame. You know, so I think I respect Haney a lot. I respect Loma, and I will be surprised if we don't get Haney versus Loma in the springtime, just because it's really important for both guys. And Loma, this is where I sound like a hater, but I'm not. Loma needs a big win versus somebody like Haney. He needs to be undisputed to solidify himself as a Hall of Famer. You know, Loma needs this win, and I just think it'd be great for the sport, man. There'd be a lot on the line, and I'd be excited for it.
Like I always say, I think Lomachenko stops Haney because of the way Haney fights. Like if you try to get inside on him, he'll try to grab you, and I think Loma can exploit that with his footwork, and it leaves him open. And when he tries to clinch, it leaves himself open to get countered. And I think Loma's the one that can exploit that with his footwork to easily counter Haney and eventually stop him. Because as they said, the one you don't see is the one that hurts the most. I think he gives him one that he doesn't see and hurts him and eventually stops him in 8 rounds. Like, I think if he doesn't take the fight at 135, I think the sensible fight for Bob to make it 140 is possibly Teofimo versus Haney. And I'll be honest, I think Haney beats Teofimo now because of that ability a little bit. Like, I don't think Teofimo is the same fighter he was when he fought Lomachenko. I just don't see Teofimo actually being something again as he was. Unless he changes some stuff in his camp and in his career, I can't see Teofimo actually winning another belt.
Well, guys, my take on the situation is that the top rank and Bob Arum, being as old as he is in the game, he's always got a plan B and plan C. Should he vacate the belt, as Paulie Malignaggi predicts, at the very least, the WBO the belt being vacated, that's going to go to the former champion, Lomachenko. It's not going to be gifted, but it's going to be fought for a vacant belt, and it's going to be Shakur Stevenson versus Lomachenko. Earlier here in the chat, Sin City Syndicate says it don't matter because Shakur Stevenson is the best at 135. And, hey, like Drew said, he still has one fight. Haney has a fight obligatory at 140, and a great fight would be for him versus Teofimo because, hey, both of these guys are new to the weight. They both got to get acclimated. Yeah, there's no title on the line, but Bob Arum's going to get whatever he paid, man. He's got to get his money's worth. He's deeply invested in fighters like Teofimo, way over Devin Haney. This could be a short-term thing, and that's not a bad plan B, Drew. Lomachenko versus Shakur Stevenson for one vacant belt, maybe 2 vacant belts. It'll be hard to let all 4 sanctioning bodies agree, but it's not a bad deal, not a plan
that's
B.
That's a pay-per-view fight.
Right.
He's also the mandatory for the WBC belt too.
Well, there you go. So it's a fantastic plan B, whether he vacates or not. Man, I want to see Devin Haney as from being Oakland, California kid from the Bay Area, like Andre Ward and all these, like Nonito Donaire. I want to see him do the right thing and fight Lomachenko while he still can. Yes, he looked like shit weight training all the way to 135, but he performed fantastic. While we're on the subject of Devin Haney, guys, I want to share this news. George Kambosos, who just lost, he did not have his trainer, Javier Centeno from Florida. Javier Centeno is also, what's that nice Xander Zayas, the nice Puerto Rican kid, Xander Zayas prospect. He also trained Xander Zayas. Well, that was also George Kambosos' trainer for the first fight when he was brought over to Florida. He's being sued by his manager, Peter Kahn. Peter Kahn is also the manager of so many boxing stars. Peter Kahn and Javier Centeno have filed a lawsuit for over $600K because George Kambosos for the second fight said, screw you guys. I'm here in Australia and I'm not paying you guys what I owe you. So that just goes to show I didn't know what kind of a jerk Kambosos is, but he basically hasn't paid his people at all. And a lot of people, including Devin Haney's father, who's very close to Peter Kahn, said that's a fucking dick move. And yeah, they'll see you in court, man. Pay the people what they owe you. They put you through that first fight. They got you the fight. Pay them what you owe them.
Yeah, I wonder if he's even paid Lou DiBella.
Well, I'm sure Lou DiBella has chimed in on it. I've just been reading about it today that this lawsuit was filed. I think Kambosos thinks because he's in Australia, never coming back to fight in the U.S., that he's going to be shielded from what he owes people. But, these kind of moves are dick moves. Whether he retires or not, you have to pay your team. If they worked for you, you got to pay your team.
It doesn't. You got to pay your team. He's fucking up his reputation as it is. So fuck him.
Exactly.
You shouldn't be. You should have never got this second fight. You look like shit in the first fight. You look like shit in the second fight. So you should thank your team for getting you that second fight and everything. Thank them for putting the rematch clause in and everything. Even thank them for having the fucking fight in Australia again, when it could have went fucking back to the U.S. But it's his reputation's fucked up now. He's known for not paying his fucking team for fuck him. So I'm done talking about this. Let's move on.
All right, let's get on. Let me say hello to people who've just joined us. My Day One's new name in here. Thank you so much. Carol, our friend from Las Vegas, is in here. She says she'll see Jose El Compita in Las Vegas this weekend. Jose says, let's get the Shoeshine at 1,000 subs, please. Thank you. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Carol. Last subject of the night, guys. 135, William Zepeda versus Jojo Diaz, the former Olympian. What is you guys' take? This is an in-house fight. At one point, I was so high on El Camarón William Zepeda from Mexico. I thought he was the next big thing, Drew. Then he had this god-awful, shitty performance, like 2 fights back. And ever since then, my opinion of him being a new world champion at 135, kind of iffy, man. And we know Jojo Diaz, he's kind of washed up at 135. He was on our friend In the Ring with Christine this past week, so shout out to the ladies. And shout out to Jojo Diaz for being on their show. I'll start with Nando, man. Is Jojo Diaz too washed up to beat this undefeated William Zepeda KO machine? Or is William Zepeda overhyped?
Well, me personally, I'm a big fan of Jojo. Like, I always come to fight. But I favor Zepeda for one main reason. I've never thought that Jojo was a natural lightweight.
Right.
I always thought his best weight was at 130 pounds. He's never really been a power puncher, and much less so at 135. I got Zepeda this weekend by knockout, to be honest. I mean, it's sad to say, but I think Zepeda will shake off whatever you said, whatever's been lingering with him, maybe like the fame or something. Because you're right, Dave, he hasn't looked very, very good last couple of fights that we've seen him. But I still look back, because I got to see him at the LA fight a couple of years ago or last year on the Silver undercard, right? And that guy he looked like a badass dude back then. So we'll see if he shakes it off. But I favor him this weekend to stop Jojo. I think just the size difference, and like you said, Jojo's also been trending in the wrong direction as well.
Well, before I get to Drew, HLD says Jojo arguably gave Haney his toughest fight. I'm going to say, you know what? I agree partially because Jojo can box, but he's such a smaller guy that despite Haney being feather-fisted, I think it's Linares that's given. I think Linares, what he did to him and had him rocked on those shaky legs, foretold what we're going to see down the line for Devin Haney. At some point, he's going to do that dance again, Drew. And I think it was Linares that gave him his toughest test to date and a faded old champion. So not Jojo Diaz. But listen, Jojo Diaz is a smaller guy naturally. Drew, he started his career at 126, former Olympian. Is he going to beat the up-and-coming contender in William Zepeda?
I got to disagree with Nando. I think Jojo Diaz is going to knock William Zepeda out.
Really? Where's he going to get this power from? Where is this coming from?
I think he's going to get caught with something. Like, I just have a feeling Zepeda's going to get caught with something.
Well, Zepeda got caught, like I said, by an unknown Mexican fighter a few fights back. I thought Zepeda was unstoppable. I thought Zepeda was Mauricio Lara. I thought he was the Bronco Lara of 135, an unstoppable guy on his way to becoming world champion. And now I don't seem to think so, man. But I don't think Jojo Diaz has enough pop, and it hasn't demonstrated it at all at this weight class, Drew. I think it's the other way around. I'm sorry, guys. I think William Zepeda is going to show how washed up Jojo Diaz is this weekend. I think this is probably the fight is going to foretell that Jojo Diaz is on his way down. I want to say he's likable, but when I heard what I heard he did on that phone, and a lot of people get caught up these days, Drew, sending these penis pictures, you know what I'm saying? Like, not the whole world don't need to see your dick, man. The whole world don't need to see your dick. That goes for athletes, fighters, celebrities. podcasters. Nando says, speak for yourself. Whatever. Whether he did it or he didn't,
Dave,
I think we're going to see Zepeda by
Dave,
stoppage. Yeah.
At least he's not showing Zepeda his dick.
I get, well, whatever that. So, Drew, you got it.
Hey,
Okay. Go ahead, Nando.
I'm sorry. I just like these kind of fights, man. These loser leaves town fights. So it's gonna be fun, man. However long it lasts, because both guys' careers on the line, man. So I think it should be a fun fight.
It is,
regardless of who wins, man. So I'm excited. I am excited for the fight.
Well, I definitely might be incorrect. We're gonna find out on Monday. Drew says it's actually gonna be Jojo Diaz by stoppage. I think the Zepeda pulls it out with his power punching, but HLD is absolutely right, man. Camarón Zepeda had a poor performance in his last fight. Not just his last fight, but even going back a couple of fights. He's not really living up to the hype I expected. I'm going to go with Zepeda this weekend. On the undercard, Drew. Oh, by the way, guys, anybody in the San Diego, if you're in San Diego, I know Dan 619 was in here earlier. I think that's at the Pechanga Casino Resort, which is supposed to be beautiful. And whether or not you go to the fight, if you live that close to the San Diego, man, it's just a great vibe to be at the casino when there's a big fight going on. I would definitely do it if I lived close. Rocha, 147-pound fighter. Only loss is to Rashidi Ellis. He looks sensational in his last fight, Drew. He beat Blair the Flair Cobbs too. Am I correct? Rocha's got
Beat the balls off him.
It's so bad that I thought the Flair Cobb's career was over. And Blair comes back with a great win of his own, man. So Rocha's only loss, like I said, is to Rashidi Ellis, who's gone nowhere with his career. Some people thought he'd be the next big thing, but Rocha looks to be steadily improving at welterweight. He's going to be fighting this guy, Jesus Antonio Perez from Mexico, from TJ. And you know that TJ fighters always come to make exciting fights. Don't be surprised if that co-main steals the show, because TJ fighters always come to fight. Even if he gets knocked out by Rocha, I have a damn good feeling that co-main is going to be worth our time. Nando, are you seeing anything from Alexis Rocha as a potential 147-pound name to keep talking about? That division is so talented and so stacked. Do you like what you see?
I think at this point in his career, he's a gatekeeper, a solid gatekeeper, right? I'm really surprised that Golden Boy hasn't matched up against Virgil yet at all. That'd be a fun fight while it lasts, but they must still have big plans for Rocha, I guess. But I just don't see with Rocha, man. I see him as maybe one day he'll get a shot at a title and lose. That's about as high as he's going to get. But yeah, he's fun to watch. I definitely like watching Rocha fight. And I'll let you guys go. I know you guys are about to wrap up the show.
We're going to wrap up the show.
I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it, Nando.
All right, bye.
Nando doing a great job as the third co-host. Drew, he's right about that, man. I don't think my voice could take much more. I want to thank everybody that joined us, man. Dan 619 says, hit the like. There's going to be some good boxing. It's Halloween weekend. Squeeze in a fight or call your boy Dave. Ask him on IG at the Shoeshine _boxing, and I'll let you know how the fights went. For real, just hit me up. Hit up Drew. Let us know on Monday what your naughtiest or scariest Halloween costume is, because Monday, Drew, is Halloween. So I'm not sure. Probably kids will be knocking on my door while we're trying to do the Shoeshine. I hope everybody has a blessed weekend, whatever you're doing. I know some people out here are going to be headed to Sin City, like Jose El Compita. I wish you guys all the most fun. I wish I was out there, but I'm still not 100%. Drew, we just got a sex bot up in here.
Bitch just got removed.
We must be doing something right. So that's what it is, Drew. By the way, Lomachenko stops. I didn't give my pick. Lomachenko stops Jermaine Ortiz. You think he goes to this decision, you said, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate everybody coming through. The music means we will see you next Monday at 7:40 p.m. The Shoeshine always. Don't forget to hit the like, drop us a comment. Drew, any exciting final words? The Phillies are on their way to the World Series, and the Eagles are on top of the division.
Phillies in 6.
Phillies in 6 it is, man. I'm Dave from the 408, Philly Irish Drew Evo. We'll catch you next week. Take care. Peace and love, everybody.